So if you want to monetize your brand, right, and you want to actually make it something that is revenue generating, then in this video, I'm going to show you exactly what I do and what you can do as well. So if you don't know who I am, my name is Tariq Peters. I'm a brand authority strategist and a PR practitioner, an accredited PR practitioner, in fact. And I help B2B founders and advisors build a level of brand authority. And if you don't know that, that's brand authority is your personal brand multiplied by your business brand multiplied by your campaign brand. When you align all three of those brands, that gives you a level of brand authority that makes you more visible and credible to your desired target audience that will drive more leads, which in turn will mean more clients and ultimately more revenue for your business, right? So if you are interested in all things PR, branding, and marketing, make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe. And make sure you click in the description box down below if you want to check out my Substack, as I post content on there all the time, right? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to share my screen and go through my P.H.A.S.E.S brand authority system, right? And I'm just going to go through real quick the process that you need to do. And I'm going to focus on one particular layer of that system in order for you to get the insights that you need to know now so you can get started, right? In this video, I'm not going to waste no time. And if you watch my previous videos, you know that I tend to just do videos of me just talking a lot about just other stuff. But right now, we're going to be focused and we're going to just get straight to it. So make sure that you watch the video to its completion and go in the comments if you have any questions following this as well, because it's something that is honestly going to be so beneficial for you and something that you're going to start to see any particular sort of bottlenecks or sort of things you're missing in the process of building a revenue generating brand, right? So let me share my screen. Let's get straight into this. So just for context, right, if you are not aware of my P.H.A.S.E.S brand authority system, right, it is my system that I developed and what I do working literally for myself. These are the things I incorporate for myself and also for my clients as well. So we got the 3B authority method, yeah, which is the why. Yeah. So in short, that's your personal brand, your business brand, and your campaign brand. That is the thing that you focus on first and foremost when it comes down to the 3B authority method. Then, secondly, the P.H.A.S.E.S framework, your positioning, your hook, the amplification, strategic partnerships, engagement, and sustainability. Those are the 6 particular areas within the P.H.A.S.E.S framework for you to focus on building and how you are able to develop a brand based on focusing on those particular areas, right? But for the sake of this particular video, we are going to focus on the authority flywheel, because the authority flywheel in question is the step-by-step process that will get you from the part of producing authority-led content to the part of you being able to turn that and generate that into revenue, right? So I'm going to go through each particular step in the way that makes the most sense and that you can use literally as soon as you start finish this video. So make sure you like the video before I even get to the next slide, before I even get started, and I just share all the gems with you, right? I'm going to give you a minute to like, matter of fact. Let me just have a little bit of my herbal tea. Mm. All right, let's get into this. The authority flywheel. So this is the compounding engine that turns authority into sustained pipeline and revenue. We're going to go through each one at a time, right? But in a nutshell, core platform first, synergy, amplification, PR, marketing, revenue, right? That is it. That is the flywheel. And then you can literally rinse and repeat it, but we will cross that bridge. Let's start with the core platform, right? So the core platform. For me, like I said, I work with B2B advisors and founders. So with me, I believe that the most important platforms that you need to incorporate in the space of B2B is your LinkedIn, right? Your YouTube and your Substack. For me, I feel those are the 3 most important platforms because you are able to incorporate them and utilize them in a way that is effective and useful for what you are looking to do. The YouTube provides that level of trust. You can see me, I'm doing this video in real time, right? I'm sharing this insights with you on video. I cannot pretend or fake. This is not AI. This is literally me speaking. So with that, it gives you a lot more trust. It makes you feel like you know the person a bit more. And from the basis that they are able to communicate themselves through the lens of video content, right? And that level of camera confidence that I've been building in the process of me documenting and doing these videos, it makes you feel that someone you can trust to get the job done, right? And through that content, that is the way that I'm able to contribute and use that as additional content across my other channels. LinkedIn, as we know, LinkedIn is the biggest B2B platform. That is in your best interest to connect with people on LinkedIn, right? And having those conversations and meeting new people and new connections that fit within your ideal client persona, your ICP. And when you're able to do that, then it just makes you a much more established person within the LinkedIn space for you to connect and meet and speak directly with your ICP in real time and actually have those conversations, right? And then Substack, that is where you can nurture the people that connect with you. They get to see your content in written form. And then even more so now, you can include the video content on your Substack. You can include podcasts on your Substack as well as all the written content. So for me, I feel like Substack is a real amazing ecosystem in terms of the platform itself and how you are able to incorporate that into your nurturing system and how you are able to nurture prospects and showcase your efforts and to keep them warm effectively, or even more so hot if they decide to actually become a paid subscriber, for example, and then you're able to develop a committed set of people who you are able to share more content with, and you are able to drive them into more medium ticket opportunities per se, right? And then those ones will be more so your adjacent buyer persona, so your ABP. So for me, I tend to look at it from the basis of you working with your ideal client persona and your adjacent buyer persona, because they're not the same. They're two different people in that sense, but then they will be interested in different realms of what you have to offer, from whether it be a high ticket offer for your ICP more so, or maybe more so a medium or low ticket offer for your ABP. I done a video on this not too long ago talking about the difference between your ICP, your ABP, and your IFP, which is your ideal follower persona. So check out the video, go on my list, and you'll see that video, right? You can't miss it. Check it out, and then that will give you all the ideas of how you are able to embed all those free content personas within your strategy, right? But as far as core platforms are concerned, those are the three that I tend to focus on the most, and I've seen the most benefits of using it in that way, right? So then if we look into the synergy part, so now we established our core platform, right? And for me, I tend to use YouTube as my core platform now. Previously, I tend to use LinkedIn more so, but YouTube is number one for me as far as producing content is concerned. And the reason why is because when you get to the part of being involved in the synergy process, then you then understand how you are able to use that content in a way where you are able to repurpose and redistribute it across all the various channels. And I want you to think about this just right now, because what I will be doing in this video is I will be showing you in the process of me doing it as well. And then when you start to see the content and how I do it online as well, then it will make a perfect sense for you. And for those who are connected with me already or subscribed, you know the process already, but I'm going to go through it again just so you have a better understanding. So ultimately, with my YouTube channel, right, with the YouTube content, I'm uploading one long form video, right, every single day for 1,000 days. I started in on the 1st of January 2026. Every single day, I'm over 100 videos in now, right? So now all that content is gold, right? And I can use the transcripts. And if you check out the video that I've done about transcripts being literally gold for your business, right? You can use those transcripts and then develop that across all various platforms as and when as you want. I can use the transcripts for this to develop particular blog content or articles for my Substack, right? Even if I wanted to, I could then take this content, right, and take the audio and incorporate that into a podcast, right? I can then use that content as well and then turn it into small snippets of content that I can put as social posts for my LinkedIn, right? And then tailor it to be more directive towards my ICP. That's when I talk about synergy. When you get to a level of brand synergy and you are able to incorporate your LinkedIn, your YouTube, and your Substack in a way that makes it effective and seamless across the work that you're doing, then that will only lead to more opportunity for you to be more just visible, right? In the process of you being able to get your work out in various different places and various different ways, targeting different people, right? So all this stuff plays a part in the process of you being able to not only then have that core platform that you develop, but then understanding how you are then able to incorporate that level of brand synergy across your platforms in a way that makes the most sense for you, right? So it only makes the most sense in the grand scheme of things. So after the synergy part, right, what we have is amplification. And then with amplification, you now have the synergy unlock. You now have an idea of how you are putting your content out. These are your primary platforms. So now that you're thinking about amplification, how are you then distributing it to your secondary platforms? And I consider your secondary platforms as in different ways, to be fair. One of the main ways is the short channels like your Instagram Reels, your TikTok, your YouTube Shorts. I use these long form videos, right? And I chop them all up and I distribute them across those three channels: my Instagram Reels, my TikTok, my YouTube Shorts. And I amplify that and I provide the gems within the video content and distribute it to a wider network. I treat my primary platforms as my revenue generating platforms as a way to lead them all into the buying process and the ecosystem, right? As far as the secondary platforms are concerned, they are developed as a way to amplify, as a way to provide awareness of what you're doing and to amplify it towards people who you may not necessarily connect with through your primary platforms, but it allows you to have more reach for the other people that you'll be aligned with, right? Like I said, your ideal follower persona are people within the secondary part that you may be able to find, as well as your adjacent buyer persona. But then more so, alongside the element of producing with the shorts, it's also the idea of you being able to develop on your owned media, right? And through my videos, I already explained owned media is all the stuff that you have within yourself. You own it. No one can take it away from you. With all these other social media platforms, your Instagrams, your TikToks, whatever the case, they can go down. They can go down. Or matter of fact, they can just decide in an instant that they will just remove your channel for whatever reason, right? So with that, your owned media, having your own website, effectively, how you are able to produce content on your website is a way that you need to think about things. How you're able to produce website content, how are you able to develop your newsletter and be able to build a committed list of people? And obviously, we spoke about your Substack already, which is your newsletter. However, although it's considered as owned media, they could decide that they're just not available anymore and you lose your email list. So I would say it's in your best interest to develop an additional list that aligns with your Substack and have an additional separate email list that mirrors that list as well. So that way you are never in a position where if Substack was to ever go down, that you've lost all of the people that you have worked so hard to gain in terms of subscribers, right? And then through that, those are the things that you need to consider. And despite the fact that I haven't mentioned any other sort of additional channels, that is when it really becomes more tailored and bespoke to you, right? You could be in the B2B space, but then Pinterest could be something that could align more so with you. But then that could be considered more as a secondary channel. It all depends on your circumstance. But as far as the work that I've been doing, on the B2B side of things, the channels that I mentioned are the ones that make the most sense and how you are able to then amplify your efforts, right? So then we get to the part of PR, right? Third party credibility. What are you doing to build that level of reputation and enhancing that reputation in a way that makes you more credible, right? It makes you deemed as the key person of influence and the obvious choice. And the reason why I put PR, right, before marketing, because right now I feel that we are in a world where it's very much easy to put together these marketing strategies that lead to the buying process or the funnel per se. But with PR, I feel it's in your best interest right now, as far as building a personal brand is concerned, right? A revenue generating brand at that, to build on your PR, the profile raising for people to understand who you are, what you do, what your expertise are, the things that you enjoy, the things you don't enjoy, all the things that make you uniquely you are the things that you can incorporate within your PR strategy that makes you not only more visible in the process, but more credible. Because I talk about the personal branding deadline a lot. And if you are new to my videos, you'll know the personal branding deadline is the 30th of November, 2027, right? When that deadline hits, it's going to be a hard road in terms of those who have not took the time to build their brand. And the reason so is because with the rise of AI, there's so many tools in place where it's so easy to be visible. You can produce content. You can produce literally months of content in on ChatGPT or Claude within half an hour, right? So when you think about the amount of content you're able to produce as a result, there's going to be a sea of sameness. People are going to be doing the same stuff. They're going to be talking about the same stuff, posting about the same stuff. And in a sea of sameness, it will be a thing where you need PR, you need third party credibility in order for you to stick out, right? And in this particular environment, when it gets to a part where everyone is going to be upskilling and learning about how to use AI, what is it that's going to make you more credible? What is it that's going to make you stand out amongst a sea of sameness? Everyone is going to be visible, but what is it that's going to make you credible? And that's you being able to be positioned as a key person of influence and the obvious choice. And that's the reason why PR is in the process of your authority flywheel. These things, you build them in the process, you build them in that order in a way for you to develop that. Because even if I share my screen, you developed your core platform to know this is your technically your social media home. This is where you can be found, right? You know, YouTube is my home. You can find me on YouTube every single day, right? No doubt. Synergy, I've distributed across all the other various channels that I talk about as my primary platforms. And then for the amplification, I've now distributed it across all the other sort of secondary platforms that can increase my reach. And as a result of that, I'm actively on my PR tour, and I'm actively going out of my way to collaborate and do strategic partnerships with different publications, press, even groups where I'm working with them to do workshops and webinars and all those things, not to only help with what they're doing, but it's also that mutual exchange in a way that benefits both parties. And I get to amplify my voice and amplify what I am doing in terms of showcasing my journey of what I'm doing to build a seven-figure brand in real time, right? So all this stuff is extremely important. So as we move on, the marketing, the marketing part is important because now you are deemed as credible because you have the aspects of PR that you've been able to incorporate within your work. But then now with the marketing side, now you have that attention. Now you are deemed as a credible expert within your field, right? With something to say and something to go off. How are you then able to convert that attention into the funnel, into the process of the buyer journey? And that's where you then incorporate the marketing initiatives, the marketing strategies to put yourself in a position where you are then now in a great place for people to now be immersed in your world, right? And in fairness, they've been immersed in your world through the content that you've been putting out, through the way you've been able to distribute it in various different places, right? In the way you've been able to position yourself and showcase the content and the press opportunities that you've been embedded with based on you being a credible expert within your field. Now you have all those things within your remit. You are now in a position where you can develop the marketing strategies that not only shows people that you're visible in terms of where you are at producing content, but you're also credible. And then now you brought them into that space, you are now developing marketing strategies that then lead into the buyer journey of the funnel, where they are then able to make a purchase, knowing that they trust you and they believe in you and they know that what you are saying is factual stuff. And you have not only proved it time and time again, but you've documented the process through building your brand, through the content. Through the content alone, you have then be able to showcase and share to let people know that you are actually who you say you are, right? You're not pretending to be someone that you're not. You dedicated your time over and over again to repeat the fact that you are the person that you say you are. And like I say in my videos, repetition is a superpower when you know how to use it well, right? And then lastly, through the marketing efforts is the revenue, right? And in between that, that is when you need to focus on the idea of having your product and having your offer ready to go, having it ready to go where people are ready and hot to buy from you. But the thing is, right, I can help you with that process, no problem. I'm just showing you the authority flywheel from the basis of you having a product or a service. If you don't, I can help you with that. But if you do not, that is completely fine. If you don't have that, I can help you with that. But if you have it already, then that is more key for you, because then you just embed and install that system into the work where you are able to do that in a way that makes the most sense, in a way for you to build your revenue generating brand. And the interesting thing with this flywheel, right, is that you can rinse and repeat this flywheel based on each part of your branding campaign, right? And I spoke about the campaign brand already, but then what I have not mentioned is that with your campaign brand evolves over time, right? I've worked with clients where we have developed literally a stage by stage process of how they're able to build their level of visibility and credibility, right? And in various different stages. For example, we could be a stage 1 to 3 and focusing solely on that at the moment. And then when you focus on that, you can then be like, okay, we're working on stage 1 to 3. So right now we need to base our authority flywheel based on those stages, right? And then once you complete that, you can literally rinse and repeat the same flywheel in the process that your campaign has led to the end result, which is revenue. You then reinvest that revenue into the process of building into the next set of stages that will get you to your end goal, whatever that end goal looks like for you. So the way the flywheel works, it's something you can repeat over time. The process is something you can repeat over time. It's something I repeated over time. From when I left my role and I started to incorporate the idea into my head, and I embedded it into a system that works after I left my corporate role, right? I added that. What I did, I developed my core platform. I developed that. I then moved it over to the Synergy, and I then considered YouTube, LinkedIn, and Substack as my free platforms. I then focused on the amplification side of things. I then focused on being able to PR myself. Not many PR people can PR themselves, right? They'll be saying that they know how to do it, but they can't do it for themselves. I have been working on all the stuff I say and I do it for myself. From that process of there, I've done the marketing process, which then ultimately leads to more opportunity for the revenue. And it's a rinse and repeat process. So that's it. That is it for this video. Focus on the authority flywheel, right? All the other stuff is there to add to the process of you being able to build that brand that stays with you forever, that has that legacy feel to it, because you've then embedded the whole process into your process of building a brand. But if you want to be there skipping steps, by all means, skip the steps. But what I have done is presented the overall process of what you are able to do in a way for you to build it to the end process of you being able to get the revenue that you want. So that's it. That is it for this video. Please make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Please let me know if you found this useful. Let me know if you are in a particular stage, right? Let me share my screen again. Let me know what stage you're at, right? Let me know if you're going to start to incorporate some of the things that I mentioned in this video. Let me know where you're at, because if you are in a particular place and you have any questions, drop a comment in the description box down below, in the comment section down below, matter of fact. Let me know if you have any questions and I'll be happy to help, right? But in the meantime, I hope this was useful. Please make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and I will catch you tomorrow. Look after yourself.